Alright, for the nerfs, at number 1, what is predicted here is, of course, the onlys, Herald of Ice and Herald of Thunder, of course. Of all the things that could be nerfed, it would make sense that those would get obliterated because it makes clearing speed and mapping just, there's nothing else like it. I mean, nothing else compares at all. You know, you could say Herald of Ash does good if you're a warrior and stuff, and sure, yeah, but the majority of builds out there are rocking the Herald of Ice and Herald of Thunder combo pack and making sure you have enough cold damage and combined with some uniques that really excel it over the top. You'd be a damn fool not to use these, other than going to some trying to off-meta builds, of course, naturally. But the bigger problem here is that with Grinding Gear Games' reputation, nerfing these into the ground would be an absolute detriment to the player base unless they introduce something better somehow. Or they nerf it just a little bit, you know, bring it in line with other things and raise other things up. They're make them a bit stronger, other like heralds or whatever, you know, to boost clearing speed. Because if they nerf these into Oblivion, then clearing speed is going to be an absolute bitch to get through these maps, and nobody wants to deal with that unless we have new skills and new abilities, new supports that are a better supplement for that substitution. And that's what we want here, not everything's getting nerfed to the ground, please. GGG, please. Now moving forward, number 2 will be Grim Feast and Energy Shield. I bet you all saw this coming. I mean, this is just, personally, yeah, it is really strong. I don't think it should get nerfed. I know a lot of people, streamers, YouTubers, saying it should get nerfed and balanced and all this and that, and honestly, I don't think it should. If they're going to nerf it, just do a little bit. Just a little bit. But other than that, bring other things up. Don't nerf it into the ground so it's not useful. Energy Shield is so freaking good. And with Meditation on Invoker Monk, too, you can make it even better. And, of course, on Stormweaver is so nice stacking Energy Shield on this build. And with Grim Feast, you double that shield. It's just it's just incomparable, you know. And with Cast Inoculation on top of that, you know, it's just an absolute win-win. I've seen people stacking up 20, 30k Energy Shield, and the survivability is just insane. But also dictates the problem that life and armor are a huge problem. And I'll get to that in a minute, though, but I want to get ahead of myself. Now, number 3 that deserves a nerf here is, well, I hate to say, the gem lane stacking Legionnaire builds are so freaking busted. The Ascendancy is so busted. It's the most broken build in the game. When you have Hand of Wisdom and Fate, or I'm sorry, Hand of Wisdom in Action, unique, combined with a Pillar of the Craig God at first until you get an absolute goated two-hand staff. But combine that with literally your stacking stats, your stacking strength, intelligence, dexterity, with this Ascendancy, because that's what it is on the right side of the tree there. And it makes them with the Tempest Fury skill, you stack so much attack speed and attack damage, you're just absolutely melting everything. Nothing's comparable. And with Arda, that unique amulet, I can't remember the name of it, but yeah, it's the one that's like hundreds of divines, you know, and that's why the price on all those things are through the freaking roof, because it's so darn popular. Everybody wants a taste of it, or at least they did, until they got bored of it, and that's exactly why I never played it. It looks boring as shit. But hey, that's just me. Anyways, moving on to the buffs, okay? We're doing 3 here. 3 nerfs, 3 buffs here. And the buffs we need the most right now is armor and life. So bad. They are so freaking terrible that nobody uses them unless you're a freaking sadist. Unless you have no idea that they're holding you back. I didn't know until way like a week into the league, into early access, that it was so bad. And nobody uses it because Evasion and Energy Shield is so freaking overtuned. They're so powerful that you'd be a damn fool not to use them. So yeah, they need to be brought up to Energy Shield and Evasion, and hopefully if Energy Shield does not get brought down, that they become equals. That would be great. And on that topic, for armor specifically, remove the movement penalty for armor. I know they're trying to go realistic, but nobody gives a shit about realistic. We're in a fantasy game here. Nobody gives a shit about realism. Take that away. It's just another thing holding us back. The game is already slow enough as it is compared to PoE 1. We don't want to be any slower. Okay, that's how you don't play builds, is because armor is it's obsolete as of now. So please buff that shit. Next, moving on. Number 2 for buffs. Ascendancy, specifically. One, I know people complain about, I've never played it myself, but Blood Mage. The Ascendancy for that, the first 2 nodes are an absolute nerf to your build. Now, I'm sure people have worked around this by now, but it all does is just bring you down, and that's it. Nobody wants that. And you want Ascendancies, they're supposed to make you stronger. They're supposed to be a power buff or defense buff, whatever you're going for in that tree. And unfortunately, Blood Mage doesn't do that, so it needs to be brought up somehow, or those nodes need to be switched out with other ones that actually give you a nice buff for the first 2 points. That way you're not having to wait to have 4 points to actually make it viable for, speccing into. The other one is the, I call it the Dark Monk, but it's not that, it's the Chayula Ascendancy. I can't remember the full name, but yeah, that's the one. Apparently that one's very lackluster compared to Invoker. Because if you're not using Invoker, that's another detriment because of meditation and all the other damage buffs too. It's just too good to pass up. So the Dark Monk, I mean, it's for like chaos damage and stuff like that, if I remember correctly. There probably are some other things I missed, but it's just not as good by far. And obviously they need a 3rd Ascendancy, but that Ascendancy itself needs to be brought up. So yeah, buff Dark Monk. Anyways, moving on to number 3 here for buffs, is that weapons. Like maces and crossbows, they need to be buffed, and I'll explain here in a minute. Maces they're lackluster in terms of just I know because of warriors, it's supposed to be slow, powerful, warriors and all that, but their skill tree has reduced attack damage in it. Like, yeah, you get these buffs, but you get reduced attack damage, which you need attack damage, and it's supposed to matter here. And apparently it doesn't matter to some like abilities or to mace attack speed or something like that. Now, I don't play warrior, but this is just what I've been hearing from other people, and it's really, especially people like Karn, he's very pissed. He has been for a while that they warriors kind of got the shaft in terms of attack speed, and mace is supposedly feeling good according to grinding your games, but they do not feel good even with WASD and all that. It is quite the opposite compared to other things like two-handed quarterstaffs. Now, in the last part here, please for the love of God get rid of crossbow jamming when you're shooting grenades. It doesn't do it for bolts, but it does it on grenades. It is so annoying. I don't care if it's intended or not. Get that shit out of the game. That's all I have to say. So hopefully y'all like this stuff. Catch you on the next video. Peace out, Scouts.